Hi everyone, this is the third grade Enhanced Math Week 9 Quadrilateral to Perimeter Solution video. To start off, a quadrilateral has four sides and four vertices. Four sides being these lines highlighted in green, these connect the shape into a quadrilateral. And then it also has four vertices. These vertices connect the sides together, highlighted in red. So there's just points around the quadrilateral that hold the sides together. For example, when solving for perimeter, we can mark this side as 5 in yellow, this side as 5, this side is 5 on the right side, and finally at the bottom, we can just say, for example, that this can be 7. So the perimeter of this quadrilateral would just be 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 7, and this just gives us 22. So the perimeter of this quadrilateral would just be 22. And then the perimeter, which is the sum of lengths on all four sides, which we just did. A rectangle is a quadrilateral of four right angles, which is just 90 degrees. If this were to be the case, we can just do 5 on the length, 5 on both lengths, since they're the same lengths on both sides of the rectangle. And for the width, we can just do, for example, 3. And then the perimeter would just be 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5, and this would just equal 16. A square is a special rectangle with equal side lengths. So that means that for these four sides, they're all the same. But we can just do 5, 5, 5, and 5. So 5 times 4, because there's four sides, is just equal to 20. That would be the perimeter of a square with side length 5. Problem 1. A square is formed by an iron wire of length 36 centimeters. What is the side length of the square? We see here that a square, since all of them are the same side length, as we just recalled from the top, this is made up of a 36 centimeter wire. And since there are four sides, we need to split 36 equally into four different sides. 36 divided by 4 would just be 9. So that means that each side is 9 centimeters. So therefore, 9 centimeters is your answer. Let me just fill this in. 9 centimeters. Problem 2. The perimeter of a rectangular pool is 46 meters. If the width of the pool is 9 meters, what is its length? So the perimeter of a rectangular pool, let's just write perimeter. Perimeter would just be 46 meters. And since the perimeter would just be width plus length times 2, since there are two equal sets of the same thing, we see that the width of the pool is 9 meters. So let's do that later. We first do 46 divided by 2, which gives us 23, since there are two sets of the same thing, like I said earlier. So the width of the length would just be 23. So 23. And then 23 minus the width to find the length. So 23 minus 9, that would just be 14. And then that gives us the length, which is 14. So length equals to 14. And then we can plug this back in. Let's do it all in blue this time. The length would be 14. So the width would just be 9, 9, 14. And this added together is 46. Problem 3. Derek has two rectangular puzzles. Both of them have length 6 and width 4. If Derek places them together along the width to form a larger rectangle, what is the perimeter of the larger rectangle? So it says here that Derek has two rectangular puzzles. Both of them have length 6 and width 4. So let's draw this out. We have the length, which is 6, so 6, and then the width 4, and he has two of these, so 4 and 6. If Derek places them together along the width to form a larger rectangle, what is the perimeter of the larger rectangle? So let's see. So let's rotate these. Since the width is 4, we can just label the 4 to the width. So 4, 4, and 6, 6, 6, and 6. And then this would just be the larger rectangle formed at the width. What is the perimeter of the larger rectangle? We get 6 on both sides. We get 12 on both sides because it's 6 plus 6 equals to 12 on both sides. 12 times 2 equals to 24. And then the two 4s at the both sides, which is 8. So 24 plus 8, that just gives us 32. So the perimeter is 32. Problem 4. Cut a larger square from a rectangular paper of width 8 and length 12. What is the perimeter of the square? So we get a rectangular paper of width 8 and length 12. So length 12 would just be right here, while width 8 right here. Cut a larger square from a rectangular paper of 8. Well, since we cannot expand the width any longer, we can just shorten the length. So if we shorten the length, we can get it to 8. So the new length would just be 8. And then the width is 8 as well. This gives us a square of side length 8. And since the perimeter requires the length times 4, that just means 8 times 4 equals to 32. So the perimeter of the square is 32. Problem 5. Compare quadrilateral 1 and 2. Which one has the greater perimeter? Let's look at 1 first. We see that the line highlighted in green on 1 here is the same as the green line highlighted in quadrilateral 2. And this is because, as we see here, they are the hypotenuses of the same triangle, because each triangle is just one unit, and this is made up the length between two dots connecting. Therefore, we determine that these two are the same now, so let us move on to the next one. Let's move back to quadrilateral 1. This time, we see that this height on quadrilateral 1 is the same as this line on quadrilateral 2, because they are just another same vertical length. And then the next one, let's do it in yellow this time, because choose a different color. We see that, again, this line in yellow on quadrilateral 1 is the same as this line in quadrilateral 2, because again, they're the hypotenuse of the triangle. But then finally, we are left with two lines on both quadrilateral 1 and quadrilateral 2. We notice that immediately quadrilateral 2 has obviously the longer side because it stretches a lot, whereas the quadrilateral 1 line, the leftover one, just stretches for a little bit. Therefore, obviously, just looking by these two, we can easily figure out that quadrilateral 2 has the greater perimeter just because the blue line is so much larger than the blue line on the quadrilateral 1. Which one has the greater perimeter? Quadrilateral 2. Problem 6. The perimeter of the polygon shown is, we have this cut out polygon. We can see here that the length is just 8. The length equals to 8. And then the width, which is equal to 6. So width equals to 6. And we're trying to figure out the perimeter. Quickly, we realize that in green, this side length on the right of the polygon and this side length in green as well at the bottom, these connected is just the width 6. Because as you see here at the bottom green, you can simply just drag this piece of this line right here until it matches up with the green line at the very right. And then when this is connected, it creates 6. Similarly, as you see on the length 8, we can see in blue that this side on the very bottom plus this side in the middle of the polygon, when you drag this piece down to match the piece on the very bottom, you can see that these line up to create length 8. So when this is created with length 8, we can simply just create a rectangle now. So we can just add up the total lengths together. 8 plus 8, which is the length, equals to 16. Width, 6 plus 6 equals to 12. You can just add 16 and 12 together equals to 28. So the perimeter of the polygon here shown is 28. Problem 7. Two squares, each with side length 5 centimeters, overlap as shown. The shape of their overlap is a square, which has a perimeter of 8 centimeters. What is the perimeter in centimeters of the shaded figure? So here cm equals 2 centimeters, as we already know. So the shape of their overlap is a square, which has a perimeter of 8 centimeters. And since we know that it is a square, we just know that each side is 2 centimeters. So 2, 2, 2, and 2. And then since this is 2, we quickly figure out that this line in green is just 3 because the side length of 5 centimeters, these are squares as well. So 3 plus 2, that would just be 5. The top is also 5, whereas the line in the yellow, that would just be 3 again. The line bottom of the yellow would just be 3 again. Let's plug in 5 at the bottom and then 3 again. So let's just erase the 2 now because the 2, that's not included in the perimeter for the shaded figure. So as we see, there are 4 5s. So we can just do 5. Hold on. We can just do 5 times 4 equals to 20. And then we see that there are 4 3s as well. So 3 times 4 equals to 12. So we just do 20 plus 12 equals to 32. And that is the perimeter of the shaded figure. Problem 8. The perimeter of the outer square is 36 centimeters, and the perimeter of the inner square is 20 centimeters. If the 4 rectangles are all identical, what is the perimeter of the shaded rectangle in centimeters? It says that the perimeter of the outer square is 36 centimeters, and since we know that the perimeter outer square equals to 36 centimeters. And since squares of four sides are the exact same, so we can just divide this by 4. So 36 divided by 4, we can know that each side is 9. So 9, 9, 9, and 9. And then the perimeter of the inner square is 20 centimeters. So if the perimeter of the inner square is 20 centimeters, again, inner square, and each side of the square is the same, we can just do 20 divided by 4 sides equals to 5. So the inner square side lengths are all 5. And then since they are all 5, we know that, for example, let's look at the right side now. So the right side, the entire side length of the outer square is 9, but since we see that the middle square is 5, we can simply just subtract 5 from 9. So 9 minus 5 equals to 4, and 4 gives us the width of these two identical rectangles. So therefore, each one would just be 2 because 2 plus 2 is 4. So 2 and 2. And then now we are given that the width of the 4 identical rectangles is 2. So now we can find out the width. Looking at the bottom, again, in blue, we see that, again, there is 9 and the 5 that is a part of the 9. We can, again, just do 9 minus 5 equals to 4, and then 2 and 2 again. So hold on. So there is just 5. Let me do it in green. There's 5 and then 2 and 2 marked in green. And then as you can see, circled in red, there is 5 plus 2 equals to 7, and that makes up the width of the rectangle, since you can just drag this piece up and it fits perfectly into the width of the rectangle. So we know that the width of the rectangle is now 7. Now 7 plus 2 times 2, because there's 2 copies of the width and the length, and that just gives you 18. And the shaded rectangle in centimeters is 18.